Nathan Barry is the founder of ConvertKit, a company worth over $200 million. He knows a thing or two about building and monetizing an audience, and today I want to extract some of those lessons. So, a little about Nathan. He started life as a designer, and he went on to build an email list in order to sell app design books. And from there, he started ConvertKit to help creators build, manage, and monetize their email lists. And ConvertKit has grown from an initial investment of $5,000 to generating $38 million in 2023. As well as his career accomplishments, Nathan is married with 3 children, and he's only in his early 30s. I've learned so much from studying Nathan that I want to share with you. But first, how has he accomplished so much? Well, Nathan believes that you set your own pace. I listened to a few interviews where he referenced the time when he was a child and he was homeschooled, and he learned that in order to graduate high school, it's a set amount of work, not a set amount of time. And so if you work really fast and really efficiently, you can complete your work quickly and enjoy playing for the rest of the afternoon. Nathan also talks about a time when he was working for a startup, and he set himself the goal of being the best designer in the company, working just 3 hours per day. And the message here is, if you're not careful, work will expand to fill the allotted time. And this is particularly a danger if you're a salaried employee, where you have set 9 to 5 hours and work can slowly and gradually fill that time. Nathan recommends you set yourself constraints in order to be as efficient as possible. Nathan's obsessed with people who use their audience in order to start businesses. And here are some ideas that I've learned that I want to apply myself. First, how can I do a better job building an audience? Well, the key is to be interesting. But how do you do that? Well, Nathan explains that you need to be a good storyteller. And the best way to do that is to be going on a journey with skills you're trying to accomplish and obstacles you're trying to overcome. The most interesting people online are on a journey that people want to follow. You need to tell people what thing you're trying to achieve and how you're going to do it, how it's going to change you as a person, and you need to share every step along the journey. For example, when Nathan started ConvertKit, he started it with an initial blog post saying he was going to build a SaaS company to $5,000 a month, monthly recurring revenue in just 6 months. And he shared each step along the journey. He wasn't successful in his initial goal. It actually took a lot longer, but that's not important. People enjoyed the journey. They wanted to follow along. And in many cases, they wanted to help him with advice and becoming a customer. In my case, I'm sharing the journey of growing this podcast and YouTube channel. In my last video, I shared my growth goals, and I'll continue to share my goals and share my progress against those. Nathan also explains that there's only a small difference between people who are interesting and those who aren't. For example, going to work each day as an engineer is a fairly boring story. But if you say you're on a mission to become a CTO and you're going to learn everything you can on the job, you're going to interview people, and you're going to share what you learn each day and document how you progress against that goal, then suddenly that's a compelling journey which people would like to follow. Plus, you're sharing useful information, so the story in itself is interesting, but you're sharing your learnings along the way. And that leads me on to another thing I've learned from Nathan, which is, in addition to being a good storyteller, remember that people consume content for 2 reasons. One is to learn, and the other reason is to be entertained. And the best content combines both. For example, one of my favorite podcasts is My First Million. And I like it so much because they combine actionable information, which is education, with great humor. One last tip on this thread: you don't have to be an expert to teach online. In fact, there's no such thing as an expert. There are only those who appear to be experts because they're working in public and showing what they know. For example, I've known engineers who are very, very talented, but completely unknown outside of their team, and other engineers who are constantly showing their work via blog posts, conference talks, YouTube videos, open source projects, etc. They're seen as experts in the industry, even though their ability as engineers is the same. So once you have an audience, how should you monetize it if you want to? This is a subject that Nathan is most passionate about. He has an essay called The $1 Billion Creator, and in it, he gives examples of people who have huge outsized returns from having an audience. For example, there's a story about a guy called Mark Sisson who started a paleo food blog, and he used that to create and sell Primal Kitchen for $200 million. My takeaway from this essay is that creators need to build a product or get equity in a business. And my other takeaway is that the business model matters. It's important to have a product or equity because we want to avoid trading time for money, and we want to capture the upside of the audience. For example, Ryan Reynolds used to feature in adverts and I'm sure he was making a lot of money, but he was effectively exchanging his time for money and then going on to do another ad. Instead, what he does now is he does ads for companies which he owns or has upside in. And business models are important because different models require different skills and have different levels of upside potential. Nathan gives the example of Ramit Sethi, who has one of the most popular personal finance blogs. And he does very, very well selling courses, but the upside potential is limited versus if he had created a software project like Wealthfront, which he probably could have done and used his massive platform to grow. Having said all that, you don't need a big audience to make a living as a creator. And Nathan has the data to prove it. But you do need to pick a good niche, and you can't rely on social media if you don't have a huge audience. There's a perception that there's no middle class for creators and that it's basically a massive power law where the majority of people make nothing and there's a few big creators that make all the money. And this might be true for broad-based social media creators, for example, YouTube gaming channels, but it's not true for newsletters and podcasts that are targeting good niches, particularly B2B niches like accounting. So a good strategy is to use social media as a top of funnel and drive people towards a newsletter, say, where you can then target people very specifically and sell products, not ads. The last idea I want to leave you with is Nathan's famous essay on flywheels. The concept of a flywheel is a repeatable process that gets easier over time and produces more and more output. A flywheel can apply to many things. In the context of this discussion, we can apply it to content creation. For example, this podcast and YouTube channel has a flywheel which I'm trying to get turning. First of all, I need to hustle really, really hard to create videos and to cold email guests to come and speak with me in order to grow. And this is the hardest part, to get the initial turns of the flywheel. As my numbers grow, it will become easier to convince guests to come and speak with me. And the more guests I get, the quicker growth will be, and then the easier it will be to get future guests. And so the flywheel gets easier and easier, and the output gets larger and larger. There's so much more I could talk about that I've learned from Nathan, but I hope this helps as a condensed creator playbook. For more, check out Nathan's blog, follow him on Twitter, and also check out his podcast, $1 Billion Creator.